IT workers, what is the most disturbing things you have found when going through an employee's computer? This guy was awkward and quiet, and kept to himself. He was tall, skinny, and pale, and always wore dark clothes. He had a password protected Word document that he had been seen working on constantly. After he left, his boss wanted to make sure there weren't concerns of data theft or whatever, so we removed the password and opened up the document. Turned out it was a vampire novel. All of us in the office were vampires and he was killing us off one by one. As another user posted, "We don't go through your computer. It's considered super unethical, and if I ever found out one of my people were doing that, they'd be reprimanded at the least. However, you do run into situations." The P addict. I had a repeat customer that would load his computer up with viruses, malware, and about every 3 months bring it in to be cleaned. It took ages to transfer his data because he had a 100 GB collection of carefully categorized P. And this is pre-SATA days, so the transfer would take hours. One day he brought it in. I opened up a browser to attempt to download some malware cleaner in the hope of not reformatting. His homepage was MySpace, and it opened up to the account of a 16-year-old girl. This man had no children. He had set up a MySpace page, put some girl's photo as the profile, then wrote dozens of sexual blog posts on her homepage. She was friends with a lot of teenage boys in the area. I told my boss that either we fired him as a customer, or I was calling the police. To make things worse, he was a prominent member of our community and had served on our hospital board for years. The realtor brought her laptop in for something and dropped it off. I plugged it in and powered it up. Desktop wallpaper was a picture of her, completely nude and spread eagle on her bed. Normally after I fixed her PC I would leave it on to demonstrate to the customer it was working. With that one I just handed it back to her in the bag. Adolf. This one is just a little odd. Sometimes I have to ask users their password if I'm going to be fixing their computer while they're away. One particular unsuspecting co-worker told me their password was Hitler88. Haven't looked at him the same since. The Russian. One of my old bosses complained that his computer was acting funny. Long story short, it turned out someone had been RDPing into his computer from an IP address geolocated to Russia. The hacker had even created their own Windows profile. In the hacker profile, the only thing they had downloaded to the desktop were lots of pictures of US money and bikini-clad Russian models. Had a Russian dude hack my Ubisoft account. He didn't change the password or any of my information. He used it to play Ghost Recon Wildlands. Didn't even delete my save. Made his own profile and everything. It was the most polite hack I've ever seen. If he would have changed my default language to English, I might have just let him keep playing. I've never found anything disturbing digitally, fortunately, but I used to do physical maintenance on students' laptops. About 2,000 a year across the whole district, and the number of cockroaches, globs of peanut butter, and/or peanut butter with cockroaches I found in them is haunting. Didn't really go through it, but one of the employees had a pic of his GF in a bikini as his wallpaper, which was weird anyway as it was a shared PC, and he kept going on about her waiting for my comments. Anyway, he showed me another folder full of pics of her, all had the head cropped out, which was weird. Turned out they were all of a female co-worker who he was cheating with. This one is wild, LMAO. Jesus, I can't even imagine looking at them the same. When I was doing help desk for an MSP, I got a ticket to help some doctor with his computer running slow. I called the doctor's office. A front desk girl picked up and told me, "Oh yeah, you can remote into his computer. He's with a patient." So I remoted into the doctor's computer using a tool called Cassia, which, at the time, didn't inform the user that someone is remoting in. My screen was immediately filled with two dudes hardcore fricking each other. Thankfully my remote session didn't have sound. So many times I've remote into another work PC with P videos playing. Multiple jobs with different company, but someone is always watching P. Kiddie P and Animal P, both found after specific requests were made by bosses to look for it based on weird crap printed out and return emails people were getting. Employee left the company, asked the colleague to ask us, IT, to retrieve and delete all her personal photos from the computer. What I found was not disturbing but just NSW private photos, about 60 GB worth. Some solo work, Some with multiple guys, up to 10 I counted. She was also exhibitionist. Problem was that I had to go through all the folders since she had her personal and work related folders mixed and very unorganized. Basically I was watching P at work. Before I did this I informed our HR though on what I found and what I'll be doing, just so I couldn't get in any trouble. Smart move on your part. Better to cover your own butt since that ex-employee didn't cover hers, literally. I worked as a call center help desk agent for a government agency a few years back. Only once did I ever find inappropriate stuff on them. It was when I remoted into a PC and found his desktop wallpaper was a thoughtfully arranged collage of women in thongs showing their butts. The only thing the guy said was, "Yeah, I know you looking at them big booty B." His response is hilarious. One of my responsibilities at an old job was to go through flagged IMs of co-workers. One guy tried to buy C from another co-worker and didn't even try to hide it by calling it candy or something. We also found out a married manager was sleeping with another employee through her angry IMs to him. I don't understand it. There is a big disclaimer when you and everything. Why you would discuss sensitive matters on an intranet is beyond me. I know people are posting about P and stuff, but for me, it was a desktop. The desktop had more files and folders than could fit into the screen. Someone had created a shortcut to the desktop folder and stuck it into the taskbar. The user would still open files from the desktop and only check the folder shortcut if she couldn't find them. I've never found anything worse inside of a computer. I have had a couple users do this. 4,000 loose files on the desktop. Ugh. Only disturbing if you think about it. But recently an employee quit. On their last day they turned in their laptop. On their desktop was a folder with scans of their driver's license, credit card, social security number and some other personal data type crap, like an apartment lease and a utility bill or something. They basically gave me everything I'd need to commit pretty serious fraud with their identity. I then wiped the machine. I thought about emailing their personal account to scold them for leaving such important data on a work computer, but decided against it. That almost sounds like a setup, like he has some get-rich-quick scheme based on suing his former employer for identity theft, or taking out a bunch of credit cards, maxing them, and then blaming you and your lax security policies. We searched this one guy's laptop once and found he was actually doing work and far better than we thought. We gave him a raise and he became the president in 5 years. Now that is disturbing. Role reversal. IT guy gets caught being a fuckhead by his wife. So this guy works for his mom and pop at their shop. He helps fellow employees out with their PCS when they have issues. Now he was also trying to start his own business and work late at night on his business while wifey was asleep. Well, one day he isn't home and she is having trouble with her laptop. So she uses his instead and ends up finding folders full of P. As she looks closer, she realizes she recognizes some of these people. It was her hubby's co-workers. He was stealing nudes of his co-workers off their computers that he would fix for them. As she kept digging she found a bunch of naked dudes, and to the point where she realizes he hasn't been working on his business he was supposed to be getting off the ground. He's having sex chats with people and swapping nude pics. They ended up getting divorced not too long afterwards and his parents ended up firing him after she told them what he was doing. She didn't want to tell them, but as they kept harassing her because of the divorce she finally told them the truth. I guess he came clean and was let go by his folks. This is actually pretty brutal. Loses wife and trust of parents. Huge loss. New salesman brings me his personal phone so I can configure his email, link him to our shared drive, etc. Well, when I went to get him access to our shared drive, his phone suggested I upload his photos to keep them safe. It even popped up the camera roll with recent photos. Guess what? I now know what his wife looks like in the nude from the front and back. Some stuff you just can't unsee. Time to get that eye bleach. Here you go, our eye bleach. Employee's hard drive was full, which is odd cause we don't save locally. Took a look and he has a folder in his documents called new folder which was like 80 GB worth of stuff. Opened it up and found so many videos of him and his wife. New folder that man is living in 4036. Most of the juicy stuff is P related and workers cheating with each other. The cheaters always seem to get caught somehow and usually end in divorce, leaving the company, or both. You see people spending their time streaming Netflix and Hulu sometimes. The best one was someone brought me their female personal laptop to set up for a remote session, and when I opened their browser all of the bookmarks were for gay p. She really didn't seem to care that I saw it either. Oh, and some other older weirdo had a profile full of girls in bikinis, like cropped out from ads and crap you would find for Walmart or whatever. As said, we don't go exploring through someone's PC. It's not something you do. Nothing disturbing, just things that technically shouldn't be on there. When I was assisting someone with backups or recovering data, private photos, videos, copyrighted material, backups of home PCs, video games, P2P clients, registry speed-up tools. They interfere with IT's job at least. See cleaner removing minidumps, and break things at worst. Kaput registry. Personally, I don't mind what people do on their company PC, as long as they don't break things, interfere with company infrastructure, break the law, and do keep their equipment clean. PCs and peripherals can get gross. So gross. Someone had an eye infection because things were spilled. Colleague of mine accidentally connected to the wrong person's PC because DNS was off. That person was browsing P. We, IT, have also caught people downloading P as people were complaining about speeds. A friend of mine found some child pee on it but then realized it was clean-shaven young midgets. He did not realize this earlier because he judged the guy already because he was kind of weird. Much weird less wow. I used to work at a small company. We had offices with 2-3 people in the spread throughout a bunch of counties. They didn't have a server or anything like that, just individual computers and a Google Drive for shared files. Well, after one guy turned his company phone in after he quit, and the first picture in the camera roll was his junk, the new policy became someone had to go through all company phones and computers after people quit and clean them out. Like I said though, small company, and so we had me to do basic IT tasks, and a company we could call when it went over my head. So part of my job became cleaning out the PCs. I never went through them as much as I went in and cleared the documents, pictures, music folders, but thumbnails, man, you would be amazed how many seemingly competent professionals had nudes on their computers. Sometimes of themselves, sometimes not. Once I saw a folder that appeared to be someone's photoshoot. The thumbnail for the folder showed 4 pictures of her with progressively less clothing. I was installing a SQL development tool on a co-worker's laptop and noticed something fishy, and upon further inspection it was all P. Not normal P, but brutal tickle P. I had to look it up. I had to report him, but HR refused to fire him and instead transferred him to a new department. His manager almost quit because of that decision. Not IT, but a friend took a management job in the African subsidiary of a major mining operation. He got the laptop of his predecessor who had been urgently recalled and had the Dataost archives of the guy. Several emails implicated the guy in the oil for food corruption scandal with Iraq. He was setting up front corporations to fake oil trades or something like that. My friend took a deep breath and formatted the HD. People tend to have accidents in that part of the world. The guy was so corrupt he was nicknamed Mr. VAT. Smart move. My cousin is there for some work and he keeps telling me of these accidents that happen all around the city. Fired our 61-year-old employee for being a compulsive liar. Went through his company email for evidence. Found pictures of him in an orgy with an average age of at least 70 for the participants. Sounds like a legend to me. I one time had a guy bring me his wife's laptop and asked me to fix it because it was running slow, and then he also asked me to look for deleted files because he suspected his wife was having an affair. I had a sick feeling immediately, because the guy was kind of a dong all around. I took it for the day, and ran recovery software on it, found forum postings and Google searches for battered wives shelters, deleted files regarding how to escape an abusive relationship, and on it went. God damn it. I deleted everything I found. I wiped the free space on the disk and did my very best to ensure that nothing was recoverable by this guy or hopefully anybody else. I felt pretty helpless. As someone who has helped someone escape a severely abusive man before, I hope she got away, but statistically speaking I know she probably has not. This probably isn't what you're looking for, but I once had a PC so saturated with cigarette smoke and full of cobwebs that I got a contact high when cleaning the dang thing out. This was in the 486/early Pentium days, and that thing was freaking disgusting. Worse than the bird crap spackle terminal I had to remove from the factory floor of the defense plant I worked at once. Yep. If you smoke around a PC, it is insane how much gunk ends up building up inside it. I used to smoke around my PC, and it was what I can only describe as a 1-inch thick layer of dust smoke cake around all the components inside it when I opened it up. I couldn't believe the thing was still working. So glad I quit smoking. Not only are my lungs cleaner, but my PC is much cleaner too. Haha. The worst was an almost nude pic of a receptionist who worked for a few executives. She was married to an engineer in the company. I found this pic of her nude on a hotel bed covering her boobs, but obviously only wearing a thong on two executives' computers. Went through the mail. For yucks between them, and they had both professed love to her. Made me feel skeevy. I work at an engineering firm. One user was having some difficulties connecting to our network. He asked me to take a look at it while he was in a meeting. I go into his office at the scheduled time we discussed prior. He left a folder open, and up on the screen that was a bunch of nude pictures of himself flexing in different poses. This man is older, in his early 50s, and to this day I can't look at him the same. I'll never understand why those pictures were put on a workstation. Welp, you clearly didn't respond the way he hoped. Not an IT guy, but worked in a large agency once. It was a non-secret that two managers, man and woman, were having an affair, though they were both married to other people. One day, the man decides to send the woman a sexy email with the time and place of their next assignation, but the dumb butt mistakenly sends it as a mass email message to everybody in the agency with a PC. Probably about 1,500 people. Well, I hope 1,500 people turned up for this assignation with him. Child pornography. And no, I wasn't snooping. The files were right there after I repaired Windows and booted it up the first time. Part of the offboarding process at my old job was to make a backup of the old employee's inbox. In one instance, I found that an employee had created a huge folder called Daily. The Daily folder had 3 subfolders for 2014, 2013, and 2012. Each folder had 12 subfolders, one for every month. Each of these folders contained one email per day that he sent to himself that contained a list of the female employees, what they were wearing, and his own occasional musings on their appearance. Rebecca, white blouse, silk, black slacks, wearing ponytail, no glasses today, contact lenses, fake, Alexis, red polo with short black skirt, knee length, with tan stockings and black heels, haircut too short, looks mannish, etc. Just freaking creepy. Child P. I reported it as required. My boss asked a bunch of questions like, how did this come up, were you searching, or was it plainly visible? File names flashed by in file transfer. How did you know what it was? 8-year-old beauty sucks cocks. Did you confirm? Yes. Picked one with older stages, 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 older stages. But I'm cheating your question. This wasn't an employee computer. It belonged to a customer. Defunct computer. The district manager made clear through his questions he was ticked I brought it up and only going through the motions of compliance. He told me it was illegal for us to search his computer, to give it back ASAP and STFU about it. He didn't use those terms. He was sour all the way. The customer was calling every hour asking when his data transfer would be done. He also went overboard trying to guarantee none of his data would be lost, since it was totally irreplaceable. I was wiping hard drives for a client. After they were wiped, I open up the case to remove the hard drives for destruction. The entire inside was caked in dust. The once green motherboard was now grey. The CPU's heatsink looked like a solid block of metal, instead of its normal finned appearance. Whatever was a different color than grey, was now grey. Was making extra money doing basic desktop support when I was 15. Pick up PC from new customer complaining about slow load times and inability to open some files. Of course the HDD is completely full. Call customer, tell them I have an external drive and can transfer most of their stuff to it if he'd like to buy the drive. He okays it that evening, and I start working. As I'm grabbing files, I notice the thumbnails. Multiple gigs. In 2000 of CP. Some of it with kids under 4. Stop transfer. Unplug computer. Decide I'll figure out what to do in the morning, as my mom was asleep. The next morning I get up, and my mom starts telling me about a local well-known teacher being picked up last night for CP and it's on all the local news channels. Yup, same dude. Called the detective, listed. Filled out a statement and turned over the guy's PC and my external HDD I thought I'd just sold and made a few bucks on. Never heard anything more about it except for dude being found guilty. Didn't even bother trying to get my drive back. At one company there was this old guy, married to a woman, pretty high up the chain. My co-worker remotes in to fix a ticket and tells us to come see this. The dude had some kind of gay chat room opened up and posted a pic of his spread butt on it, saying he's only had 3 dongs so far. We informed our boss but nothing came of it, swept under the rug. It made for lots of good inside jokes though. Not exactly searching, but a former colleague hooked a shared Dropbox that was used by the QA team for sharing test scripts to his personal mobile phone, and everyone who synced that got, amongst other things, a lovely photo of his wife's shaved vagina. We termed it, colleague's surname, Snatch Day, the 9th of September if anyone wants to observe. I once opened up a company issued laptop that was only slightly smudged on the outside and to my surprise was promptly covered with all manner of crumbs. It took me a solid hour to muster the strength to wipe the sticky residue from the power buttons to even boot up the machine. Sticky residue. Not disturbing in the usual sense, as in not weird pee or looking up how to make bombs, but I used to do IT for the Department of Energy back in the Windows XP SP2 days. One guy with a Q clearance, roughly equivalent to top secret in terms of the background check and sensitivity of information you can access, dropped his laptop off because it wasn't running well. Turns out he had set the computer up at an airport as a wireless access point so he could play games with some guy he met in a terminal, and had gotten something while his machine was essentially open to the public. He got a fairly serious reprimand. The hard drive was degassed, then dismantled and destroyed, and the rest of the laptop was physically destroyed for good measure. Considering some of the information people with a Q clearance have access to, I'd rank this as more than moderately disturbing. I work at a school and the principal asked me to go through a student's computer. After looking at the saved files I found nothing. So I decided to go through the web history. This student has been looking up how to make TNT for 3 months. After reporting what I found, I've never seen the student since. TSK, a promising career in chemical engineering, snuffed out. Scat P of the dude and his wife. Super gross, and guy still works there. It's a department secret so I'm sure he wonders why we all laugh around him. Did IT and marketing for an electric bike shop. Owner passed away. I was tasked with retrieving music from his computer for his memorial. Found a folder on the desktop labeled New Cars 2017 full of P. Deleted it. Are the only bro code we all agree on. Welp, I feel better about my true crime hobby now. Browsing history filled with serial killers and missing persons cases. At least it's not homemade midget pee. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.